Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're going to check out a blues study I call Tour Up a Sidestep, in which we're going to learn how to write a blues riff and then move it around for a 12-bar blues sequence. We're going to learn how to sidestep into a chord, which is where you approach it from a semitone below or a semitone above. And we're going to learn how to do that in a 16-bar blues chord sequence. It's used for a lot of popular blues standard songs that you're likely to encounter as you explore the blues genre. Let's start off by checking out the blues riff that most of this arrangement is based upon and how you might like to change it to make it your own. There we've got the riff that we're going to move around for our 12-bar sequence. We're starting, it's a C chord, it's a blues in C. We're starting on the note C, first finger, 3rd fret of the 5th string. So we play that twice. Then I'm using my little finger. You could use your 3rd finger if it feels more comfortable. We're playing the 5th fret on the 3rd string. It's also the note C. Then we're dropping it down, 1st finger in the 3rd fret, still on the 3rd string. This is the note B flat. It's also found in a C7 chord here. And then we finish with one pick on the note G, which is the 5th fret of the 4th string. Use my little finger there on the G. You could be using whatever finger feels comfortable with you. So the first thing I want you to get the idea of, it's outlining the C7 and it's using this little shape. Now that shape moves around really easily. If we want to find it on F, which is the 4 chord, you can see it's exactly the same shape. Then we go back to C. To G, just find the G root note, which is here, the 3rd fret of the thicker string. F, C. Okay, it's a slow change blues, so we're not going to the F in the 2nd bar. We're going to do 4 bars of C. Then we're going to move to F. Just twice. Back to C. To G. F. C. We're not even going to the G7 at the end. You could choose to go C to G and then back to the start. So you could put a G7 chord there in the last bar of the 12-bar blues sequence, but I think it works really nicely not to, and just to stay there on the C7. But what I also want you to get out of this is being able to adapt that riff to do whatever you like. And you can literally explore any other combination of this. You might go, see another common kind of a blues riff, 3, 5. So we're playing the octave again, just like we started. 5th fret, 5th fret on the 4th string, 3rd fret. It's the same notes. So you could make that your riff. Move it to F. Just the same shape, we can move it around. To G, F, C. And G if you want at the end, totally up to you. Now you can get as creative with this idea as you want. As long as you stick on this little 3-string grouping, the pattern stays the same relative to the root note here and on the thicker string. So like a riff that I really like, that kind of one of my own blues songs is. So you can see now it's a 2-bar sequence. You can really explore and make up your own riff here. Like I said, this little collection of notes is a good one to start off with. Or doesn't even have to be this 2-note thing. You might go, or any combination that you can think of. Try it out, see if you can make up a riff and then move it around that whole 12-bar blues sequence. So back to the riff proper now, which is this. Now I just want to explain the intro to you a bit here. So really common kind of blues intro is to start on the 5 chord. For 1 bar, then the 4 chord, then back to the 1 for 2 bars. That would be an intro and the 12 bar would start there. Okay, so again, really, really common blues thing. The drummer would count in 1, 2, 3, 4. And here would be the beginning of the riff. The second, beginning of the riff, the beginning of the 12 bar sequence is what I meant there. There's the 4th bar of the C to the F. May as well finish the 12 bar, so G to F, C, 2 bars. Okay, let's start to have a little look at sidestepping. So this is a really, really nice little way of playing a dominant 7th chord. This is a C7. We're only playing the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings here. They're the only ones. The thinnest 2 strings, we definitely want them muted. So letting your first finger lie down a little bit there to mute those strings. Tip of 2nd finger should be pressing up just enough to mute the thicker string. So you're going to end up with mute, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, mute, mute. Underneath of the 3rd finger is also, I can feel it touching in there. So it's a really nice little C7 chord, particularly for things, this little kind of moving shape that we've got there. You can play, it's just part of this chord. You might have learnt C7 like that before, but this nice little one is really effective. You don't always have to be have a chord really big to make it really good. This is a little one, but very, very nice little chord grip this. So the thing about this chord is that it's also easy to move. Now in a 16 bar blues, you quite often stay on this one chord for 8 bars at the beginning. You would play the chord on the beat, 1, and then mute straight afterwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And on beat 4, you slide it down to the B, and then back up to the C on beat 1. Or it could also go D flat 7 on beat 4, back to 1. So you end up with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to run back into the rest of the 12 bar blues sequence starting on that 4 chord. Very often you get a little walk down. So if you're going to add that in, this is going C, B flat, so 3rd fret, 1st fret, open, or you could slide up to the A there, either one of those would work. Then to the 3rd fret, and then down to the root note for the 4 chord, the F. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2. Just a 1 bar walk down. Or sometimes it's worth learning these riffs without the open strings so that you can move them around easier to other keys. So the 16 bar blues sequence is actually surprisingly common, and now that you know what it is, you want to keep an ear out for it. A lot of that era, kind of Freddie King, Chuck Berry, those kind of guys use this sequence, this 16 bar sequence, where it's just like a regular 12 bar sequence, but you spend twice as long on the first chord. Let's just play through again, make sure that you're hip with this idea. So it's a 16 bar sequence, but we're going to play on the first chord for the whole 8 bars. Normally you would be on the first chord for 4 bars, or less if you were doing a quick change, but kind of a standard 12 bar blues. So we're doing it in the key of C. Okay, we might do it in one other key as well, just to make sure that it's in there properly. But we're starting on the C, 2, 3, 4. We got C, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2. Still on the C, last bar. Is F. Back to C. To G. To F. C. And then you would be either back into another 12 bar blues sequence. So that was the thing with this 16 bar form. You quite often get like a series of 12 bar forms, and then there's just this 16 bar one, which kind of breaks up the arrangement, particularly when you've got those stops and the side steps. Side steps are optional. Sometimes you don't have that sort of side step thing. It can just be hits. But it breaks up the kind of, I don't want to use the word monotonous, that makes it sound bad, but when the 12 bar blues sequence is the same all the time, it can feel a little bit samey, right? So it's a really nice way of breaking things up again, is to use that 16 bar sequence in a blues. But you would always have to be doing it in conjunction with the rest of the band. You can't just throw a 16 bar blues in wherever you like, unless you're playing on your own. So the ending for this tune, in this thing a few times. It's just such a classic ending. I think it's worth knowing a few different ways to play this one. So this time we're going 3rd fret on the 5th string, open, 1, 2, 3 on the thicker string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, and their 3rd fret, open, 2nd, 3rd fret on the 5th string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Now I've given you another interesting little chord here. Really like this one. This is a C9. It's basically the C7 that we looked at before for the side steps, but you add little finger down in the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. This would be a classic kind of a funk grip, but if you leave the thinner string open, you get a really nice little ending chord. For the intro, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Now, one of the things that I get asked about quite often with these sort of studies is what sort of picking to use. And while I think it is quite an individual thing, and there are definitely lots of different people who pick lots of different ways, more so than any other technique, I think, on the guitar, the idea of playing down and up, I think, can get a little bit confusing, especially as I think the kind of the better approach is to think in and out. So let's have a little bit of a close-up look at what I mean by picking in and out as opposed to down and up. When we're doing our down-up picks, just on the riff, now, a really interesting thing here is just to talk about the direction of the pick, exactly like what motion it's in, not whether it's doing it down or an up, but the angle of it. So when we're doing it down up here, it's not down and up, it's kind of like in and out. Okay, it's really important to kind of get a grasp of that, because if you go down and up, and now you've got to go down, you can see from here, the pick's got to go all of the way over to go down to get to here. Down, up, then it's got to go round that string to reach the 3rd string. So going directly down and up, something I thought for a long time was kind of how it worked, but it isn't. The way it works much better is to go kind of in and then out, and now look, it's got a direct line to get there. You see, down, up, it's already got a direct path to the next string. Instead of going down, up, but now it's trapped between those 5th and 6th strings, would have to come out and go around to get there. That's why this kind of in-out approach, particularly for this kind of riff. There are times it doesn't work. This is just the beginning. This isn't like a whole picking lesson. I just wanted to give you a bit of a clue into picking in and out as opposed to up and down. I still call it, that's a down pick, that's an up pick, but it's kind of in, out. even when I'm using a palm mute now, it's still a lot easier rather than thinking. If I think like that, I've got to make all of these extra movements with my picking hand each time. Even here, down, up. Now I've got to jump over that string to go down. So rather than having to do the jump, up. If I'm up in the air, I can go directly down into the next string. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this lesson and it inspires you to make up your own blues riffs and explore that as a thing. It can be quite fun to make up your whole blues, actually, like including the lyrics. You know, blues lyrics are quite a fun thing to, you know, make up about your friends and family or your colleagues at work or whatever. So if you've got your own riff and some words, you've written a whole song, which can be quite a satisfying thing to get into. Remember, there is a PDF file and a Guitar Pro file for this arrangement over on the website. If you're on the website already, just hit the downloads button. If you're over on YouTube, then there'll be a link in the description to take you over to the website. If you are on the tube, then I really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, slapping me a like, and hit the bell icon if you want to get notified when I've got a new lesson or I'm going live for live transcribing or Q&As, that kind of thing. Do remember there are a bunch of these arrangements, these blues studies, available on the website already. So if you enjoyed this one, you might like to check them out too. I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You all take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.